Hello guys, welcome back to NA Turbo. So I thought it's been a little while, so I'd do a bit of introduction to the latest member of the fleet, not my car. So this is Ryan's latest purchase, and I'll let him tell you a bit more about it.
Yeah, well, 1995 Mark 1 Mondeo 1.8 Z-Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, bought purely because we don't have a car that has 4 doors or a boot.
This is true.
So everything was starting to get, we needed to do a lot of tip runs, do some other bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Got some housework that needs doing at some point soon, so needed something that we could all get in because we were all trying to squeeze into either the Supra in the back, which is just not possible.
Which if I pan you around, you can see you sitting over there, which, trying to get a mother in the back is not that easy, so...
Or the Tomcat, which,
again... Which is sat back here.
Which kind of can but can't get people in the back, so we needed something that actually had 4 doors, and this was the end up purchase because the 21 after Festival Exceptional, which was great, had some issues on the way and on the way back, but it made it there perfectly fine. It was a great reception for it. I was amazed at how many people fell in love with it.
It was actually, it was really good.
Is kind of on a tipping point. It's got terminal rot in its chassis, in its subframe. That unfortunately I haven't been able to find another one for it. So at the moment I'm not sure what its future holds. It's not getting broken, that's for sure.
No, it's too good a car to do that to, isn't it?
Whether it gets passed on to someone who's got the time to fix it, because my time's limited at the minute.
Yeah, if we pan around just quickly from the Mondeo, you can see the rate of cars that we do have at the moment, and when you're working full time, it's not the easiest to fit them in. But back to the Mondeo.
Yeah. So this was pretty much just to be a backup for me to replace the 21, which was the backup for the Tomcat. So, bought this as a local car. Has always been its local car all its life. From Northampton.
As you can see by the LBD part of the number plate there.
Yeah. Still has its dealer plates, which are got remade, but they are its original dealer plates from Airflow. Airflow Streamlines was the company in Northampton that sold it originally. Have all the paperwork right back for it. It's a 2-owner car. First owner was a doctor, owned it for brand new and was absolutely fastidious with it.
Oh, he was. I'll try and put some a few screenshots in just of the amount of paperwork that came with the car.
So he kept everything for it, absolutely every single receipt, anything that was ever bought for it or anything that happened to it.
Yeah.
So I've got his original bill of sale from Airflow Ford when we bought it brand new in '95 for I think it was 12,000 quid brand new back then.
Yeah.
I have all of its service books, every bit of paperwork, the original salesman's business cards. He got letters from Ford when it had a problem with its alarm, which I have written down in it. He wrote down on a 2-4 A4 sheets of paper from new everything he did to it and everything that happened with it. And one of them is the alarm problem, which was dated, time stamped, and exactly what went wrong. He was very, very fastidious, this guy. He wrote to Ford because it was obviously some problem, whatever, it kept going off. And I have the letter and the envelope back from Ford when they wrote back to him to apologise for the inconvenience it was caused. But he wrote everything. So I have from date of purchase, he would have it oil changed at Ford, drive it halfway between, change the oil himself, go to Ford and buy the oil and filter for it, change the oil, then have it changed again. When it went back for its next service, he was checking the brake pads on it every couple thousand miles. He would take it for tyres and everything that you can imagine.
I mean, there's a whole folder, isn't there, with the list of things this guy did. To be fair, he's probably a guy you'd quite want to be your doctor, because he was
very fastidious.
If he was that fastidious with his cars, you could only imagine how he was with people's health. So that's the kind of guy you really want as a doctor.
So he was very... I mean, there was certain things like... goes down into ridiculous details of he had a tyre gauge, tyre pressure gauge, that he even I have the A4 paper he wrote about that it was 10% not accurate and that wasn't his good gauge, and he would use a different gauge to make sure they were accurate. And all sorts of little details and bits of paper and all sorts of stuff. Like he broke the front bumper on it because he had it from 95 all the way up to 2018. And he broke the bumper on it in I think 2016 or something. and there was a A4 bit of paper where he wrote down all the people he was trying to find a bumper from.
Yeah.
And who was helpful, who wasn't helpful, and the costs and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So he looked after it. It suffered a couple bits and pieces, like all Mondeo.
I mean, it's a 1995 M plate, so, you know, it's getting on a bit now.
Yeah, it's a year newer than the Tomcat.
Yeah.
But it's suffered in a couple things.
So you got the usual sort of Ford bumper cracks, if I can just sort of pan down there. And it's had a tow bar fitted in which we've got rid of, all the shin knuckler, as we call them.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been to a car dealership as well, you'll know full well car salesmen hate the things because you're guaranteed to knock your shin to smithereens on them.
Yeah.
So it's got just a few bits, haven't it, that you're sort of going to address?
It's going to need a couple bits and pieces. The typical Mondeo issues that
you
get with it. This bumper's going to get replaced.
Yeah.
Because it's cracked and there's a piece missing on the other side.
And the colour, it looks sort of black, but it's a green, isn't it?
It is tall mallard green.
Yeah.
With opaline interior, because I only know this because I have the brochure, which he went to Ford, it's date stamped from Airfly Ford.
Yeah.
And it's quite nice because he's circled in it everything he was thinking about and put possible option, no, I don't like that. And it's actually quite a nice bit of history with this car.
Because the sort of fastidious Mark 1 Mondeos, Mark 1 Mondeo lovers may notice that it's actually got what looked to be GLX wheel trims on it. So the LX ones were slightly different, but we think he might have specified those, don't we?
Yeah, we think he actually asked for those and didn't bought them after the fact.
Yeah, because he sort of he obviously preferred the look of those, but as you'll see, there's still the original, if I can bend down, ones that you would get typically on a GLX.
Yeah, they're in the brochure as a GLX trim, but this car's a slightly strange, as he was looking at a GLX, because I've got all the little notes in the book.
Yeah.
He was thinking about it, but he didn't like stuff the GLX had. So he bought an LX that had the stuff he wanted on it, and then optioned it with the two options he wanted, which was ABS.
Yeah.
This one's optioned with ABS, and the quick clear windscreen.
Yeah.
So this has a heated windscreen and heated washer jets.
Which, the quick clear windscreen, I mean, as you guys will know if you follow the channel, I'm a VAG and Toyota fan. Never really been a Ford fan, don't write in. But, you know, it's the quick clear windscreen is one of the amazing things I've had on a Jaguar previously that was Ryan's. And it just makes so much difference in winter.
And this one does still work because it has been replaced, because, of course, I have the receipt for that.
Yeah.
And he had it replaced with the correct screen, so it has the quick clear windscreen in it, and it works.
Yeah.
We were shocked it actually does work, but it does still surprisingly work. It's done 80,000 miles now. It was doing about 400 miles a year for about the last 10 years.
And this actually saved me when the RCZ that's hanging its head a bit in shame over there decided it was going to gas me. I took this down sort of on 2 days a week into where I worked, which was a 70-mile round trip. And you can see these cars were perfect, you know, retmobiles as they called them back in the day, because this thing sat on the motorway at 60 or 70 and it was turbine smooth, and I literally mean turbine smooth. You couldn't feel any bumps, there was no rattles, no squeaks, and it's got Diddy 14-inch wheels on, but God, does it ride bumps amazingly well.
It's very nice. It drives very well. It drives like a new car.
It does.
He was so fastidious with stupid things that I think he had the tracking done on it about every 6 months.
Yeah.
Because it went to quick fit about 1 million times because he kept warrantying the exhausts.
Yeah. I think Quick Fit probably loved him by the end of it.
But it's got the typical problems. It needs a bit of welding on this sill at the very front, and the back is starting to get a bit tatty. Yeah. It's been welded on the other side on the back of the sill.
So we'll just have a quick look. But again, you know, the age of the car.
Yeah, that's about the worst section of it.
You know. So, you know, and these things did rust, like, you know, anything of the period. You know, as I say, I'm a VW lover, but, you know, Mark III Golfs rust badly. Yeah. So, you know, it's done very well to sort of stand up to it. Yeah. Do you want to just open the boot and the doors, and we'll just have a quick peek inside?
It's like we have everything. So we have the porch key, which it needs a new bulb, but I've got one on the way. The other key.
Yeah. And the red Ford key as well, doesn't it?
Ryland Soanes is actually, I found this because it's conveniently the same, that is where it was from originally. Started as airflow streamlines, went to Ryland Sones about 99.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have all sorts of random bits of info.
Yeah, and as I say, the guy was so fastidious about the car. So, you know, we've been using this car to take things to the dumps and pick up the Christmas tree, but, you know, just look at how clean it is in there. And this has not been cleaned out since we've done those tasks. You know, and the oil in there is nothing to do with the car, it was just a top-up.
It went to, that's coolant, actually.
Oh, coolant, sorry.
It's when it went to the mechanic to have the stuff done, but I mean,
yeah,
everything under here is still like new, even the bottom of the sound padding is like new.
Yeah.
But
you can see.
I don't think anyone ever sat in the back of it.
No, and we'll open the back door up so and just take you in quickly. And so you can see, look at all the 90s velourness of it all. It's lovely. But no, it looks like nobody has ever sat in the back of here. When you look around it. And if we go in the front, you'll be able to see it still even has the original Ford radio, which works. And, you know, there's this sort of bulb out, I think, behind the rev counter, wasn't there?
Yeah, there's one bulb out.
But other than that...
It's a bit dirty from it being a bit muddy around.
Yeah, obviously the weather, but, you know, when you're looking at this, and I'll just...
Stuff like in here, so... Obviously, Doctor wasn't going to smoke.
No, I mean, look at that.
So it's never even been out or touched or anything.
And there's the original Ford cassette radio that still works. All the controls, the heater controls light up. There's no bulbs out.
Yeah, he still has a Motorcraft, full Motorcraft, original Motorcraft bulb holder.
Yeah.
Still complete with bulbs and fuses. So that was all still in.
From the days, and yeah, just look at the jazzy velour seatness.
This is Opaline.
Opaline, you know, even here where these generally come away from is very good. So you've got electric front windows, manual mirrors, and manual rear mirrors, manual rear winders as well. But
the tilt and slide manual sunroof.
Yeah, and it doesn't leak.
This car, I know I've heard from a few people that these can have quite leaky or can leak, but this thing surprisingly is bone dry everywhere.
We'll just have a quick look under the bonnet. If you can just lift that up, assistant. But you know, the wheel trims are the same all the way around. And so under the bonnet's the Ford stable 1.8 Z-Tech lump in there that's 115 PS, as it handily says on the sticker. But the guy even went to the point of every time he had it serviced, mobile stickers were stuck everywhere, and you can see
proof of receipt
down there as proof of receipt. It had a cam belt changed, but it was just about due on time, so you had that done recently, didn't you?
It was overdue, and we caught it just in time.
Yeah,
because it was overdue. It was done in 2009.
Yeah,
but it had done like 10,000 miles, maybe, if that, between 09 and now.
Yeah.
So I took the cover off anyway, just because we were using it in the temporary time.
Yeah.
To see if it was all right, and it looked fine. So we were okay to use it. I deemed it was all right to use it, and I ordered a kit and I booked it in with the mechanic anyway, because, you know, obviously don't trust it.
Yeah.
It's old, but it looked fine. And we were very lucky, actually. I drove it, after Richard drove it, I drove it to work, and one thing it did have was a stuck-open thermostat.
Yes, yeah, it did.
I got stuck in traffic for about an hour and 45 minutes in it, and it was perfect. It never overheated, was absolutely fine. Drove it the next day, absolutely fine. And then I came out to it on the midweek morning, and it just made a very strange sort of belt-slapping noise.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's odd. Don't know what that is. Quick look on the bonnet, it was dark, obviously, when I was leaving. So I thought maybe the aux belt was coming apart, or, God forbid, the cam belt was coming apart. So I was like, right, no, we'll move it, and I shoved it back over to the side.
Yeah.
The Tomcat. Good job I did, because when I took the cam belt cover off, the belt was completely slack.
Yeah.
To the point where you could almost slide it off of the cam pulleys.
Yeah.
So, thankfully, mechanic mate has got a guy around the corner from him that does recoveries.
Yeah, and it was already booked in there anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so.
And in fair play to the guy's name was Bob. Absolutely fair play to him. He came the same day and picked it up from here and took it straight to the mechanic to get it done. And yeah, we were lucky. The actual tensioner, for some, we couldn't figure out why, because the mechanic looked through it and was like, this belt's like new, all the plates were like new. We thought maybe one had seized and had spun. But no, he took it apart and he went, it looks like it just backed off.
Yeah.
For no obvious reason, just backed off. But we were very lucky. We caught it just before it jumped time.
Yeah. Yeah, so because obviously when that happens, you're in for bent valves.
Yes, especially on one of these.
Replace these cylinder heads, because if I'm right, they're not. Is it an interference?
Yeah, so you'd have to replace the valve.
Yeah.
And do that.
Yeah, so you can end up with a full top end engine rebuild. So the motto is, even though this cam belt looked perfect when the mechanic took it off, didn't he? So there's no cracks in it.
Yeah.
If it's getting near on age, just do it, because it's not worth the risk. I mean, the kit was what, a few £100?
The kit was like 120 quid with I put a water pump on it, which you don't actually need to do on one of these, because the water pump isn't driven by the cam belt.
Yeah.
But I put a water pump on it, a thermostat, and a full belt kit, and he took the tow bar off the back for me. And I think parts and labour included, it was probably no more than 350 quid.
Yeah.
So it was,
which is, in the modern day scheme of things, is very good. One of my problems is when I come to get rid of the RCZ is I would have a petrol one, but that engine uses a chain, and for some reason manufacturers seem to forget how to make engines with chains in the past sort of 10, 12 years. And so they suffer horrendously for faults. So, a friend I had with the Volkswagen with the timing chain went on it. Low mileage, 40, 50,000 miles, £2,500 bill, because it bent valves and knackered some of the cylinder heads. So, if you think £400 is expensive for a belt, it's really not, especially...
This car's worth saving and keeping good. Originally the plan was just drive it and see how it was, and it drives unbelievably well. And
it is rare to find one like this, isn't
Mark
it?
Ones have disappeared. Mark Twos are still a little bit out there. So are Mark Ones. There are a few, but they're not. They're like the Tomcats and the R8s. They're getting really thin on the ground. They were worth nothing for so long.
And especially now Ford have announced that they're discontinuing the Mondeo, so these early Mark 1s are only going to go up in value and rarity as well.
Yeah. And this thing's not bought to be a value.
No.
It's a 1.0 LX, so it's not anything that's going to set your world alight, but it is nice to drive, and it gets... like the Tomcat, and like rather than this, the amount of people that go, geez, I haven't seen one in years, and the answer is Christ, you don't even see Mark 1 Vectras anymore.
No.
They disappeared years ago. I like Cavaliers.
Yeah.
And this is pretty much same era as a Cavalier, Mark 3. But they're not...
I've been looking at Mark 3 Cavaliers because I really like them, but trying to find one that is not in the thousands now, he's getting harder and harder.
Yeah, even for normal ones.
Even, because I'm a bit weird and I'd like a 1.7 TD sort of, GLS spec, but trying to find one, is just non-existent, and it'll become the same with these, I reckon. But sort of the 1.8, it's, from my driving impressions of driving it, it's not the fastest thing. It's not going to set the world alight. Where it does exactly what it was meant for is sit on the motorway. I was between 60 and 70 on the motorway that you can only do these days. It was just impeccable, and that's what it was made to do. It's just so smooth and quiet. And as somebody said to me the other day, I'll sort of say, is whatever happened to 14-inch wheels? Because
they are nice to just something with a sidewall. I made them I made it stiffer. I wanted to have a bit of fun with that, and it's nice. It's nice to drive. And I enjoy it, and it's just about the limit, because it's not on coilovers. Because if you put coilovers on it, it's just undrivable. It's about the thing, but it is bouncy.
Yeah.
And even like when I've gone with my friend to work, and he's like, we both enjoy that car. It's quite fun.
Yeah.
But we took this, and it was like, oh, this is so much nicer.
This
old now, so...
this is the 21, isn't it?
Oh yeah, this and the 21 are unbelievable.
The 21 has that French float anyway, which all French cars did, but I can say that's not the case with the RCZ. Yes, it's supposed to be a sports car, but God,
it's nice to have them, and like the Tomcat is an absolute hoot to drive.
Yeah,
and it's fun, and I drive that every day because it is the daily car.
Yeah.
This is tend to take more of the duties when that goes for paint. So.
Yeah.
But it's nice. It's very nice to drive. I see why I was never a Ford bloke.
No.
But same as like friend Richard, he is a Ford bloke.
Yeah.
He grew up with these. His dad had one I remember when I met him.
Yeah.
He had one. and his dad always had Fords.
Yeah.
And he was a Ford bloke, and he continuously told me, "You've got to get one. You've got to get a Ford." And every time I needed to buy a new car, he was sending me Mondeos like it was out of fashion.
Yeah.
Whether it was a Mark 1, a Mark 3, or a Mark 4.
Yeah.
And I kept batting him off because I was like, "No, I like Rovers. That's where I was at." And he kept insistently going on about it. And I was like, you know what? It's probably time I actually did try one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I see why people like them. They're nice.
I mean, that's the thing, I guess, as you grow up. I was always Volkswagen, and it would never, Ford was completely the opposite. You would never go there as a Volkswagen person. And the later Fords, I still agree somewhat. Again, don't send me death threats. But I think some of, and I know I'm not the only YouTuber to think this, some of them are a bit overhyped. So people mention that the Focuses are fantastic handling cars. I've had them as courtesy cars and driven them, and it's not any better than a Volkswagen or Peugeot or anything else. And so I think some of the overhypeness got to me, and especially the later Fords, that some of the build quality was woeful. Yet looking at this inside, which is an early car, you would think it would be that way around, but it's not at all. But having driven this on the motorway, you can see exactly what it was for. That's where they sat, wasn't it?
It doesn't set your world alight.
No,
it was never intended to. But like, you could do something with it and make it handle better if you wanted. Just putting some 15-inch wheels on it with a bit of better tyre on it, because these are fairly. They're all right. They're some Contis, I think.
Yeah.
It's got Unirolls on the front, but they're all right. They handle pretty well. But when I bought this and I was following Rich back in the Tomcat and coming around Milton Keynes, and without even thinking about it, he was just driving the Tomcat like you do.
Yeah.
You tend to forget that you can do roundabouts at 40, 50 miles.
Yeah.
And you're not even trying.
No.
You're not even pushing it.
I mean, that thing, the Tomcat does handle very, very well. Yeah. It did even before you changed. Even with knackered suspension, it still handled well.
But like following it back in that is, I was just keeping up. And I ended up going into one of the roundabouts in probably 25, 30 mile an hour, and the Tomcat just disappeared.
Yeah. And we weren't racing or anything like that. We were just driving normally.
Just going home. And I just got into the roundabout, and this started squealing its tyres, and I was like, I'm not doing 20 mile an hour. But you forget that, it's got big squidgy tyres on it. It's fairly high up on the thing. It's softly sprung. So it's,
And that's why, on the motorway, it was just perfect. I mean, the only thing I noticed from it, and again, it's not a fault with this car or the era of cars, probably more, is that, a truck goes by you in articulated lorry, or you go under a bridge at sort of 60, 70, and you notice the wind gust moves you. Now, having had modern cars for ages, and even to the likes of the Corrado and the Supra, you don't notice that. Because obviously they're low-slung sports cars. This sort of reminded me of my first Mark II Golf I had, that again was quite high riding and was on originally 13-inch rims until I put it on 15s. But you notice, it's the same scenario as that. A lorry would go past you and it would almost blow you into the next lane. So I think that's just cars getting heavier, isn't it? It's not a fault with this car or anything.
Yeah, it's just they're lighter. They were a lot lighter.
Yeah, and so I think we'll sort of leave it there. We've sort of gone on for sort of 20 odd minutes now, and to be honest, it's freezing out here. So I just wanted to introduce you to the Mondeo. We'll probably do some more content on it, I think, as we go along.
There's plans to do on it because it's going to get its rust fixed.
Yeah.
Next year, because the timings have to go where that's going to go for its paintwork doing.
Yeah.
So this will become the majority car while I'm driving that.
Yeah.
So that comes back. But then I'll be doing this on it. It's going to have the sill repaired on that side.
Yeah.
And the wheel arch put in it. It's going to have this sill repaired and this wheel arch checked and any holes up here done.
Yeah.
And then it's going to have a new rear bumper because the bumper's gone. It's knackered. So it'll have a couple bits and pieces. This front bumper's got to come back off again.
Yeah.
Because this lamp, when he bumped the bumper, it got broken. And me being anal, this is a depot light and it should have Corellos on it.
Yeah.
I have a complete new one because I'm weird. I bought a new one.
Yeah.
But it's got where it got bumped, it got broken.
Yeah.
So this has got replaced. I've got the whole frame and everything. I'll then de-yellow these inserts while they're out. And then pretty much other than that, it should be pretty good. It'll get some paint because it'll get the sills painted.
Yeah.
The back quarter on that side. And I might end up doing a couple of the little pin dents on it, but other than that, it's gonna
be a working car that'll hopefully settle down, and it has already proven its reliability Yeah, it's sort of the Peugeot was an issue that those engines have. It's one of the only ones, as you'll see in another video, but I explain a bit more about that. But it's sort of telling when the cars that saved me were a 95 Mondeo and a 1990 Supra that sat over there. So
they all need maintenance. It's what happens. This thing needed its cam belt doing, but it's maintenance items. Those things are not maintenance items. It's just depending on what you do. The Tomcat had to have a new engine.
Yeah,
it depends on what you deem as.
We try and forget that pain now.
It's part of its history. It had to have it done.
But yeah, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. If you do like what we're doing, do hit like and subscribe. And take care and stay safe. Bye bye.